Indianapolis.
Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Indianapolis. Marie Bartholdi in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen and Rich, of course, here. Round 2, ready to go for Team Sealed. Pretty good team on the left side of your screen there. Paulo, Vito, Damo de Rosa, Eric Froehlich, Ben Stark versus Andrew Elenbogen, Max McVety, and Tyler Hill. So here we go. Efro versus Max McVety. Let's take a look at what's going to happen. Starting things off strong and quick, Max McVety here with the grasping scoundrel, forced in play for Eric Froehlich. This thing hits for 2.
Yeah, I mean, 1-drops that attack for 2 damage. It's a pretty nice start.
No follow-up play there from Max. Is just going to pass the turn back after knocking Eric down to 18 life. Looks like Eric's on the Merfolk plan, and he's going to start things off with, you could argue it's definitely at least one of the best of them. Merfolk Mistbinder, 2/2 Merfolk Lord.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, it's not the most impressive thing, obviously, just a 2/2 for 2, but every successive Merfolk that comes down is going to be larger and in charger, thanks to that Mistbinder.
I like that. Fathom Fleet Border here for Max McVety. He's not going to lose any life because that grasping scoundrel is in fact a pirate as well. Just a huge 3/3. Let's tap that thing down. In comes the Mistbinder for 2. Back over to Max. Off to the races, as it were. And you mentioned this too, as this format seems to be a lot about raising, even here in Team Sealed.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely in draft. Not quite sure how much so in Team Sealed, but in draft I find that this format is very much about always attacking, and once you start blocking, you're usually losing the game.
Sailor of Means here for Max McVety. Had a reprint in Rivals of Ixalan, so it's back, coming along with that treasure token. Back over to Eric Froehlich, who has a kind of a hallmark Merfolk card in One with the Wind in his hand. And there's the other part of that puzzle. Jade Guardian hits the table for Efro. He's going to elect to put the counter on it, giving himself a 3/3, which is essentially a 4/4 on this board, thanks to the Mistbinder. Back over to Max.
And that Jade Guardian, in conjunction with the One with the Wind, creates a very large hex-proof flyer. That's something that Max is going to have a lot of trouble dealing with, I imagine.
Build your own monster here for Efro. Classic Pirates versus Merfolk battle here. Blue-black aggressive Pirates, it looks, from the looks of it, from McVety, which wasn't kind of something that you could necessarily do in just pure Ixalan. I don't think I mean, you could with the 2/3, but
if you got like enough cutlasses, things like that, but it's definitely much more possible now with Rivals thrown in the mix. The Pirate Tribe got more aggressive, got the tools it needed to really contend a little bit better. I think toward the end of the last limited format, Merfolk and Vampires are really the decks you wanted to be playing if you were 3-0.
Bear with us on the live total. We are aware it's not 2020. You're aware it's not 2020. This was all part of the issue with the venue internet here that we're just working our way around for you. So we will get to the right live total shortly, and that is also why we are not currently showing you the card names on the screen. I know it's frustrating when you're not quite sure what all the new cards do. We're not always sure what all the new cards do as we get there. But of course, as soon as we can fix that, we will. So there you go.
Wanted Scoundrels hits the table for Max McVety, a 4/3, really aggressive play there for just 2 mana, along with Chart, of course, earlier in the turn, drawing some cards for him as well. Back over to Efro.
Yeah, Wanted Scoundrels is one of those cards that, like a lot of other people, when I first saw it in Ixalan, I was like, you know, it
were you like, why did they print a card of Maria and Marshall on a card?
Blessed Exchequer asks, how do the sideboards work in Team Sealed? Do you choose which cards are in which team member's sideboard they go during the build? That's entirely correct. Every individual card in the pool of 12 boosters has to be assigned to one player. If you have 2 green players, you can't have one naturalized between them just to use when it's convenient out of either sideboard. So everyone has their own unique main deck and their own sideboard.
And to continue the thought on Wanted Scoundrels, that card is very good. It has proven itself over the course of the Ixalan Limited format to be, you know, just about the best 2-drop that you can open in that set.
Chart, of course, here from Eric Froehlich without any attacks. So no raid enabled trigger there. Just going to draw some cards and kind of sit back here. Passes back over to Max. A little bit of a stalemate going on. See if anybody can kind of break through the barrier that either team has got set up here.
So when that is true, when you're into the stalemate, Jake, are you excited because you know that you've got 2, 3 rares, mythics, powerful uncommons, whatever it is, and you're building towards drawing one of those? Or are you terrified because you're playing against Team Sealed, which means that all the best cards are in the 3 decks somewhere, so you know that, hey, someone's playing black-blue, so if they opened a Hostage Taker, 100% it's facing me right now. If they open Tetsamok, 100% it is in the deck facing me right now. How does that work in the stalemate?
I think you really just need to weigh your options. Obviously, you know, the person who draws their Haymaker, their card that's going to swing the game in one way or another first, is going to have a pretty big advantage. Ooh, this is a really nice play here.
Dire Fleet Poisoner from Max McVety. It's just a little 2/2, but it does have Flash, Death Touch, and when it enters play, you can give another pirate you can draw +1/+1 and Death Touch. So
the border got bigger and poisonier.
Oh yes. Down goes the Jade Guardian from Eric Froehlich. Little Ambush Viper throwback there for Max McVety.
Yeah, Ambush Viper was a nice card.
Oh yes.
And that's as someone who doesn't like snakes, so
is that
it takes a lot for me to say that. A lot for me to say that.
Is that your top fear, Rich?
Oh my. No, I think people not liking my jokes is my top fear, but snakes is right up there.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you the Rachel Weisz story off air.
Okay. Eric Froehlich here. Some big decisions as Max's board has been developed out quite nicely here with his little aggro blue-black pirate strategy. Daring Saboteur joining McVety's team as well, which is an unblockable threat potentially. One with the wind. Not going to go on the Jade Guardian, but why not put it on this Water Trap Weaver? Boom! Into the air.
And Erica probably a bit frustrated here that he's been the one who's happened to flood.
Yeah.
I think Max, Max has drawn a lot of extra cards here. Max has done so much, and he's still on that, 4 lands. So there could be something even more powerful that Max has yet to unlock in his hand here.
Deadeye Brawler is a card I see kind of shuffling around in Max's hand, which is pretty strong. It's a 2/4 with Death Touch and Ascend. When it deals combat damage to a player, if you have the City's Blessing, draw a card for 4 mana.
Yeah, and I've been really impressed with that Brawler. I think a 2/4 Death Touch for 4 in this format is already just a premium card.
Right.
It's a card that, regardless of what trick your opponent's attacker has to go with it, you're still picking up that 2-for-1.
So Max McVety here turning the team sideways, kind of putting the question to Eric, like, I mean, if you're going to start attacking me in the air, well, here you go. Here's some attacks. The Mistbinder is going to jump in front of that Daring Saboteur there. Siren Reaver in front of those Wanted Scoundrels, which kind of not a big drawback at this point in the game.
Not at all, especially considering that Eric has, plenty of lands in play.
So Froehlich will net a couple of treasures off of the death of those Wanted Scoundrels. And there's that Deadeye Brawler we mentioned before. Max counting up the permanents. Yes, indeed, he does have the City's Blessing. Adding a Dinosaur Hunter to the table as well. 2/2 with Dino Death Touch. Not going to be relevant as far as the Death Touch goes so far in this match.
Yeah, I don't see a ton of dinosaurs in Eric Froehlich's deck here, looking over his deck list.
Crashing Tide here with the help of some treasures is going to send that Brawler back to McVety's hand and draw Froehlich a card. Crashing Tide, a card that I've been pretty impressed with. Really useful in this format, I think, with a bunch of auras like Squire's Devotion running around. And draws you a card too.
Yeah, I've been really happy with it as well.
I see a water knot in Froehlich's hand. So he does have some tools, but life total getting kind of perilously low here at 8. Deadeye Rig Hauler is going to send that Dino Hunter back to Max McVetie's hand. Bounce, bounce, bounce from Froehlich, passes the turn back over. Gosh, I love that Deadeye Rig Hauler.
The card's great. You know, to play the card effectively, you really need evasion in your deck, though, so that you can make sure that you don't have a bad attack.
How about that 1/1 unblockable for 1?
It's a nice one.
No one wants to be called a soggy rat, though.
Yeah.
Up you go, you soggy rat. What, really?
Oh, another great piece of flavor text there. Deadeye Brawler, Dinosaur Hunter, back down for McVety. Froehlich here takes his draw, sitting back on his big flyer, down to 5 life.
And it is so close here.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, Max is at 8. Eric has a 4-power creature that Max has no way to block. Eric could attack Max down to 4 here, and then he's 1 turn away from victory. The thing is, Eric's at 5. Max has, you know, plenty of power. On his side of the table, there's 6 points of power plus the Scoundrel trigger. So it's still anyone's game. It really depends what's drawn here.
All right, it looks like a Water Knot is going to tap down that Deadeye Brawler. And yeah, Eric Froehlich didn't attack. Passes back.
I mean, he's just forced to.
Yeah, says, do you want to do it? Do you have some way to kill this creature?
Palavida Damo de Rosa, incidentally, 1-0 up over Andrew Elenbogen. So that is the first game in the books for the 3 Hall of Famers on the left of your screen.
Kind of fun little story here. We don't actually have official team names at these events, but the team of Elenbogen-Mcvety-Hill is unofficially named Delta Flyers. Named because Matt Sperling, he had a team article that said McVety was silver and Hill was gold, and Sperling's like, no, I didn't want your Delta Flyer status. What's your pro player status?
Yes.
I love it.
That's too funny. As long as they're embracing it.
There's something wrong with that, man.
Yes.
All right, here we go. An attack from Froehlich, putting the pressure on. 4 power in the air. Follow-up play here. Forerunner of the Heralds. Let's see what he finds.
Like, if Froehlich pulls this one out, watching all the bounce, and it felt like it was so futile and so late, and there wasn't any pressure on, and they were just coming back down. Wow.
Yeah, he was able to pull himself out of a really tough spot here. He had, you know, kind of no action in his hand. He was able to chart a course, but without the raid trigger. Then he had 2 bounce spells will help buy him some time. Ooh, here we go.
Oh, wow.
Kapala, Warden of Waves. Now target my stuff.
Yeah, just try it.
Just try it, buddy. So if you don't remember, Kapala, Warden of Waves is a 2/2. Spells that your opponents cast that target a merfolk you control cost 2 more to cast. Abilities your opponents activate that target a merfolk you control, also 2 more to activate. 2/2 for 3. Nice little way to make sure that your flyer sticks around. Yeah, look at this. Max just has to pass the turn right back to Froehlich.
That's it.
Wow! Yeah, that's the first round of applause right there. Eric Froehlich takes the game to advance to 1-0. His teammate Palavida Damo de Rosa is already at 1-0. And Ben Stark and Tyler Hill, we think they're still going. Oh, hello. Yes, they are. And you're just getting an update on the scores. I beg your pardon. Is that 11 counters?
Wow. Huatli, Radiant Champion in play for Tyler Hill. I was going to say, that's pretty neat. We were going to see a Naya Dinosaurs here. And sure enough, there she is. Her +1 ability, she gets a put a loyalty counter on her for each creature you control. -1, target creature gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control, which in Tyler's case is quite a lot. -8, her ultimate, you can emblem with whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Is that 26?
No, I think it's
no.
8.
It was it was 50. It was 56 a while.
Okay,
ago.
okay. Sorry, I just looked up.
I think we can say that went from 11 to 8. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Fair enough. I mean, like, I can see it with the board state that Tyler has if we've been sitting here for a while.
Right. Yeah, Tyler Hill looking to avoid the sweep in game 1s. This time his Hall of Fame opponent is Ben Stark.
Playing white-blue, which I think is kind of interesting, which is not a supported tribe color pairing in Rivals of Ixalan.
Yeah, that's the first time I think we've said that phrase on here, so just clarify what you mean by that. Obviously, most people will know, but for those who would like
Well, sure. So in Rivals and in Ixalan, we have 2 color pairs that kind of lend themselves to building different types of tribal decks. White-black is vampires, blue-green is merfolk. White-blue, however, no associated tribal pairing.
Right.
The thing is, however, we're opening tons and tons of packs here. We're opening 12 packs. So if you're able to get cards like Squire's Devotion, which we're seeing here, if you're able to get that in multiples and then put that on the evasive blue creatures, you can make a really, really impressive strategy in a racing format like Ixalan Limited.
Yeah, we used to call this just a Skies deck, potentially, as Pirate's Cutlass appears. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right, so Slippery Scoundrel, pretty slippery, unblockable, is going to swing in with lifelink at Huatli, and then the Pirate's Cutlass just going back over to a token.
It is Bogles right there.
Yes. I love it.
Slippery, put this enchantment on, put this equipment
you're right,
on.
You're right, it even says Slippery in it.
That was just Bogles right there.
Too bad you could never really get the City's Blessing in Boggles in Modern. Just wouldn't usually happen. Start building Bant Boggles. Curious Obsession joins the ranks. I'm interested.
So City's Blessing up for Ben Stark. And that's what that little orange symbol denotes at the life bar just under the 28. Stark has the City's Blessing. Now Tyler would have, of course, easily got 10 permanents, but remember the way Ascend works, you only kind of look, pay attention when Ascend is checking out.
Charging Tuscadon in play for Hill as well can get a little bit scary at times.
Especially when there's a Huatli.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that thing can get real big, real scary, and then when it tramples over, it deals double damage to the opponent.
I was playing with my friends a draft the other day, IRL, and somebody, I was sitting down at the table and I was at 18 life, and my opponent just sits there. They had 1 creature in play, and they're like, sitting there thinking, and they're like, can I kill you this turn? And I was like, what? And it was because of a Charging Tuscadon paired with a Trick and Haste.
8,221 loyalty on Huatli, but here's Zetalpa.
All right, Zetalpa, the second time we've actually seen this legendary Elder Dinosaur in play. Flying, Vigilance, Double Strike, Indestructible. Did I get them all? I feel like there's one more.
It's 5, right?
I think you got
Trample.
them all. Oh, Trample. Yeah.
There it is.
Because you'd just be embarrassed if you were like a 4/8 flying double strike Vigilance Indestructible, wouldn't you? You'd be like, who even bothers with that these days?
Pounce here from Tyler Hill.
28,000 years after Zetalpa was born, Zetalpa sort of sits down with the other legendary dinosaurs and says, I kind of feel Trample's what I've been missing all this time.
Trample on a flyer always seems funny to me.
I mean, it's got to have Trample, right? Like, because if it doesn't, like, you know, like a squirrel blocks it. The squirrel's, it's got to keep moving forward.
That's true.
Yes, Robert Hector, it has Trample.
Although, you know, you could just say the most potent threat that we're seeing from Ben Stark is still just that Slippery Scoundrel.
You're rooting for that card to win so much, aren't you?
Of course
Obviously.
I am.
That card is everything that Maria loves. What's happening to her right now? I mean, that card in conjunction with the Squire's Devotion on it, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't block it. It has hexproof. Put some stuff on it. What are you going to do? I mean, this board state, though, honestly, is pretty complicated as it sits, considering that Huatli and that charging Tuscadon there for Tyler Hill, who's kind of trying to figure out what to do at this stage in the game.
Yeah, this is a scary situation.
All right, looks like Huatli is...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yep. Swing.
Ben just at 31. It's always nice to use just when you talk about life totals like that.
Yeah.
Move these dice around a little bit.
Ben taking a look there. If Huatli minused there, which I believe it did on that charging Tuscadon, target creature gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know what that Fathom Fleet Firebrand is doing, if that's going to count as well, so it'd be +9/+9. Definitely some math happening here. Especially considering that that Tuscadon has trample.
So I imagine that he used the minus on the Tuscadon, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely the view in chat seems to be that this has been a while coming and maybe could have happened a couple of turns back.
Yeah, I've been somewhat surprised that the Tuscadon has not been receiving.
All right, he's going to pump up that Fathom Fleet Firebrand twice as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a huge chunk of damage here. Zettelpaw. Am I saying that right? I don't know. We'll say it's right for now. Sitting in front of that Tuscadon is not going to die, surprisingly. And the 8 toughness, I guess, pretty relevant here, soaking up 8.
Yeah, 24 damage went through there to Ben Stark.
That's crazy! Ben Stark down to 7.
I think they've decided to just confirm that one more time.
It looks right.
And so Ben is going to be able to gain some life back if he wants, but what a board state from Tyler Hill. Can he even afford to attack with that Slippery Scoundrel?
Well, Pride of Conquerors would have been good. Plains isn't.
Has the possibility of what, getting 5 life with it if the Cutlass goes over and lives on that Scoundrel?
So right on board, Ben Stark only 2 damage shy of winning the game right here, simply by putting the Cutlass on the double striking Zedalpa and then attacking with that and the unblockable creature.
That's incredible too.
Yeah, I mean, even after all this, like, that's how close this is.
Incredible.
Okay. So for those of you concerned by all the dice on Huatli, you don't need to anymore because Huatli's not there anymore. Thanks,
yes.
Zedalpa. that was a very efficient bit of board cleanage you did there. Now, I'm not sure if there's a card in Rivals of Ixalan that makes Tyler Hill put his lands the right way up. I suspect there isn't.
Seems more like an unstable card.
Yeah.
Players must play with their lands in the proper direction behind their creatures. Coverage thanks you. Okay, so Tyler Hill here has to sort out if there's a way for him to win the game this turn, because if there isn't, he's Dobbs. Dead on board.
I'm glad you explained that. I was like, he's Dobbs?
I know all the cool terms, Rich.
That is certainly true.
That's what the cool kids are saying these days, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hasn't been a term for very long now. Magic lingo-wise.
Oh, I could talk for hours about Magic, like terminology sort of seeping its way into everyday conversation, that sort of thing. All right, here we go. All-out swing from Tyler Hill.
And that is enough. All right.
Wow.
So Tyler Hill wins that game. He goes to 1-0. Meanwhile, Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa has won his match over Andrew Elenbogen. So not too bad news for Stark, Froehlich, and de Rosa. Now, if Stark can come back, or if Froehlich can pull out the next game, that will be enough. So why don't we head to the Eric Froehlich match, and he is down to 4, but he is 1-0 up over Max McVety. City's blessing for Max McVety just arriving. There's a siren lookout there, a water trap weaver.
All right, so we are in Ifro's attack step here.
And the Warkite's going to block.
Yep,
Warkite Marauder
jumps in front of that Jade Guardian. Here we have a Merfolk Branch Walker is going to go exploring.
Ooh.
That's a nice one.
Charter course.
+1/+1 counter on the Branch Walker. He's going to just bin it, though. And passes back over to Max. Untaps. Deadeye Brawler in play along with Dire Fleet, Poisoner, Siren Lookout, Water Trap Weaver, as Rich mentioned. Pirate's Cutlass in hand, as well as a Sailor of Means, I believe, for Max.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it looks like Max, if Erica is at 4, could simply attack with everything. But
Eric did have a lot of bounce we saw in the previous game.
Yeah, it's very possible for him to have a ton of different cards, like Crashing Tide or things of the sort that could
expel from Maraska, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a Sailor of Means there for McVety. There's a Pirate's Cutlass on the flyer. Is it good enough? Does Froehlich have bounce to deal with it? That is lethal in the air as presented.
So close.
You know what's kind of impressed me too, from Ifro's side of the battlefield, both in the last game and this one, is his willingness to be aggressive in the face of imminent doom. And there it is, Crashing Tide.
He had it.
And there's the handshake.
There we go.
There we go.
Wow.
That is the match. To Paulo Vitor, Damo de Rosa, Eric Froehlich, and Ben Stark over Elenbogen-Mcvety and Hill, setting them up at 2-0 here in round 2.
We should certainly get a word with Eric Froehlich if we can, because we got to see both his games happen down there on the floor. And he's a big sports fan. I know that he'll appreciate the dugout interview, so we'll see if we can get a word with him. But JVL, PV, Froehlich, Stark underway now with 2 victories to their name. Remember, 6-0 gets you into day 2, 6-1, 6-2. It's 8 rounds today, then 6 tomorrow. 6 wins is the magic number for now. Yeah, so what did you make of that Froehlich match?
I mean, it was just incredible, like masterclass by Eric Froehlich in the portions we watched. In the first game we watched, he was behind for virtually the whole game. It looked like, you know, we didn't understand how he was going to get back into the game. The one with the win provided him with a tool in which he could race his opponent, and then just by cobbling together what came off the top of his deck, he was able to survive for just long enough for that flyer to be able to, you know, attack for lethal. And there was even one turn on the penultimate turn where he was unable to attack with that flyer in order to get himself, you know, to survive for another turn. But that flyer would become lethal on the following turn because he used a Forerunner to search up a Lord on the top of his library. Just incredible stuff. Right,
and it looked like when he didn't attack there, it wasn't going to be enough. But let's find out what's going on, because Eric Froehlich is down in the feature match area. Ifro, welcome to the show. Rich Marie and JVL here. We watched both of your games, a lot of them at least. There was some really cool timing stuff going on, the way you sort of managed the tempo of the game. Just talk to us a little bit about what you were doing and just managing the pace of the game.
Yeah, it was a tough match for sure. He had a strong blue-black pirate deck. He had a good curve. He got ahead on early with having the 1-drop, attacking for 2 each turn, and my deck doesn't actually have any 1-drops, so a little bit tougher to get on board, especially when I'm on the draw both games. But I do have some tempo plays. I was able to set up the instance and some bounce spells, and one with the win to kind of carry it home.
I want to ask you about the lack of 1-drops. Is that just a conscious choice in this version of the deck that you built? Because a lot of people are building, including me, spoiler alert, their Merfolk decks with a lot of unblockable 1-drops and Jade Bearer, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was absolutely a conscious decision. I would have played them, but they said that you could only play the cards in your pool, so I didn't actually get to play any. But I did consciously decide to not go buy any or bring any from home. So I just went straight with the cards that they gave me. I didn't really get to build a pre-con. So my deck's not great. It's definitely not perfect. I could build a better deck on Magic Online. I probably will at the end of the day, but this is what I got, and so I'm going with it.
I want to ask you about the team, Efro, because right now teams of 6 in the team series, but obviously we have a Team Pro Tour coming with teams of 3. So are we going to see you and Ben and PV as a trio basically forever and a day at the moment? Is that the plan?
The plan was to play every North American team GP together and maybe some additional ones if we decide to travel. But that kind of got decided before the team series got announced, and some mix-ups happened with the team series. So I'm on Team Face-to-Face, they're on Team Channel Fireball. So we are pretty unlikely to play together in the Pro Tour, and so we'll figure things out, but we're going to play all the actual Grand Prix together and just kind of play it from there.
All right, well, thank you so much for being with us on the show. Thanks for being one of the great ambassadors, part of the Hall of Fame, of course. Efro down in the feature match area. We'll see you very soon, Eric. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Rich, Marie, and JVL.
All right, so that was Eric Froehlich down there in the feature match area. I hope you're enjoying those interviews. It's great to be able to get pros straight from the match to let you know what's going on, because sometimes we don't know, sometimes you don't know in the chat quite what they're thinking. It's great to hear from the big names, and we'll carry that on throughout the weekend.
All right, well, we have more Magic coming up in just a few minutes after these messages.